Hey guys, I'm Dennis. Welcome to my channel, Guy with a Plant. In today's episode of Life of a Plant, I'm going to give you an update on my Alocasia Golden Bone. The first video of this Alocasia Golden Bone that I put out was almost 10 months back. In fact, it was in March last year. So this update is definitely long overdue. But I don't think you guys have missed out much because yes, definitely this plant has grown much bigger. I think initially it was about a third of the current size. It has definitely put out some new leaves, but some of the older leaves had died off as well. Okay, so this is where we are at. This plant is definitely much bigger. I think it has grown more than double its size, and the leaves are way much bigger. The original leaves when I first bought it was, I think, probably about a quarter of the size of this leaf. Originally it had 4 leaves, but currently it has given me 7 leaves. And this is a new leaf. As you can see, it's really very soft. Too soft. I don't really want to touch this. And it's much darker than the other leaves, which is typical of a new leaf. And look at the contrast of the midrib. This lime green against this very dark background, which is really nice. And most of the leaves are pretty big. This is quite big, and this is also, I think, probably the second newest leaf because it's still quite soft. Yeah, and look at this one. I think this is quite big as well. But of course, they definitely can get much bigger. I've seen large specimens on Instagram, and this is definitely considered a baby. Look at this glossy new leaf. Okay, the other leaves are slightly smaller, right? And they are definitely not doing well. This is dying off, and I'm not sure why it's facing downwards. Really strange. This as well, I think maybe because it's already yellowing. Yeah, and this one is also yellowing. Can you see? So this is actually quite typical of Alocasia. Once there's a new leaf, or it's starting to give a new leaf, the older leaves will start to yellow off. Especially those weaker leaves like this, because they are slightly smaller. This is really small. This leaf kind of reminds me of the copria. This one, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I think it could be pests. Yep, mini bugs. The funny thing about this Alocasia is that I don't get spider mites, but mini bugs love it. So I always get mini bugs at the back of the leaves. Okay, let me see. Alright, I don't have any at the moment, except for this one. Yeah, and check out the back of the leaves. This shade of gorgeous maroon, which is as pretty as the front of the leaf. So as I mentioned, I think this is not fully grown. The leaves can get bigger. What I suspect is that this is probably root bound. It's still sitting in the original container. Oh, look at this. Yep, definitely needs to be repotted. So what I'm going to do, and look at all these robust roots growing out. And it keeps toppling over once it starts to dry out. And this is a very thirsty plant. I need to water this almost every 3 to 4 days. If not, you'll just dry up and the whole plant will fall over. So it's definitely time to give it a bigger pot. Let's unpot this and take a look at the roots. Alright, let's get this little fella out of his pot. Got to be careful not to break this root here. This current pot is made of very soft plastic, so I can just give it a squeeze. And yeah, it should come out pretty easily. I actually watered this 2 days ago, but I can feel that the potting medium is already pretty dry. Okay, so these are the root. There is actually a combination of thicker roots as well as some fine roots. I'm not sure why. Yeah, look at this. These are pretty fine, but this one are much chunkier, thicker. I thought it'd be more root bound, but apparently it's not. So I'm not sure whether is this pot too big. You put it in a pot size that will allow the roots to grow even more, and also to stabilize the plant, because currently this plant is pretty top heavy. Check out the roots at the bottom, these two. I don't think I'll remove all the soil here. I'll just try to loosen this a bit. And I'm going to recycle the current potting medium. So some of the roots are really fine, so I don't really want to disturb the root ball. For today's repotting, I'm going to try this new potting medium that I bought from this local vendor called Plants Ate My Money. It's a pretty fun name. No, this post is not sponsored, but I just want to try this out. This is a forest mix. And this is soil-free, but it's water retentive. So this is, I would say, is pretty chunky. Okay, but when it comes to alocasia, you can just give it any type of potting medium and it will do fine. I had an Amazonica that was growing in just sphagnum moss, and that was really happy until the spider mites got it. And currently I have an Alocasia mycorrhiza that is growing in what looks like some kind of yellow clay. It's happy as a clam, so give it anything, even regular potting soil will do, but I'm just trying this new potting mix out. Okay, I should have bought one that is of smaller size. This is actually pretty big, but I think they were out of the small one, so I'll just use this. This potting medium looks like it's really suitable for epiphytic plants like orchids. And I'm going to use this 6-inch, I think, nursery pot. Hopefully will stabilize the plant. And I'm going to recycle the old potting medium. Alright, and we are done with the repot. And I'm going to cut this dying leaf off. This is definitely a goner. The other one will probably die off too. Look at this, but it's still quite green, so I will just leave it. This plant is leaning to one side. So probably I have to rotate this regularly to let it get some light evenly, so that it will not be growing in one direction. Alright, let me give it some water. So I'll keep you guys updated maybe in another few months' time on the progress of this Alocasia Golden Bone. Thank you for watching. If you like contents like that, I hope you can consider subscribing to my channel. And take care, be safe. I will see you again in my next video. And remember to show your plants some love.